Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our hybrid Heritage Wilmot meetings. Welcome also to those tuning in online, either live or viewing afterwards. I'd like to start off with a territorial acknowledgement. We've gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between Indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community. Next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Do any members have any interest to disclose? Seeing none. I can't see Marg online, but she hasn't advised. All right. Next item is review of minutes from the March 9th meeting. Any comments, questions, omissions, additions? Motion to approve? Al, second. Yvonne? All in favor? That's carried. Moving on to new business. The first item is the New Hamburg Mill, and we have a presentation tonight by link. So we'll start off with the delegation for a presentation. So I'd like to welcome representatives from Link to share with us the details about the upcoming project plan for the New Hamburg Mill property and adjacent lands. So we'll have a presentation by the team, and then I'll turn it over to questions from the committee.
Great. Okay, I think that would probably be me.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Great. So my name is Danielle Gignac, and I'm with Envisage Architects, and we are representing LINK, which is Love Your Neighbor Communities. They are a nonprofit that has been created to contribute to housing in your community. So this is an exciting project that I'm sure all of you are well aware of. So we'll just sort of give a brief overview. LINK purchased the B&W feed mill last year with the intention of converting it into rental housing in the downtown core. The intention is to retain the original mill structure. And so the only things that are being demolished are the accessory buildings that were part of the operations of the mill. And they currently obscure much of the building as well. We are also proposing an addition to the south of the mill to create additional apartments in that space, as well as a commercial ground floor on that area. One of the big driving factors to the form of the building was the view from Peel Street to the mill, which is extremely prominent as you come into town. And so we are doing everything we can to maintain that view. So that informed the siting of the addition so that it does not come in line with the street. And then we are also maintaining the 3 stories, plus we're stepping back a small 4th floor, which will allow for some additional apartments, but won't get in the way of the view to the cupola, which we're going to be maintaining as well. We are looking at maintaining brick as the main material for the addition to harmonize with the surrounding buildings and to just create some continuity with the mill. We're doing a small link in between the 2 structures, which will be recessed from the main facade to give a bit of a visual break. Oh, that's great. Thank you. So on the right, obviously, is the mill building, and then the addition on the east elevation there is to the left. And so there's that sort of central portion, which will be the lobby and the elevator and stair access. For both portions of the building. As you can see, we're also looking to match the existing floor heights just so that we can maintain the sort of band of windows along all the facades. And then we're also working with the existing rhythm of the pilasters and windows to give that continuity as well. The ground floor on the addition will be commercial space and community space, and we're actually lowering that from where the ground floor on the mill is so that we can have so that we can have it to be fully accessible. And it also allows that ground floor to have a higher ceiling in that space, just to give it more of a commercial feel that you see in the downtown. You'll probably also notice we have a little exit stair on the addition as well, which we're kind of using as a fun way to sort of create a bit of a reminiscent of the silo on the other side of the building, and just sort of add a bit of interest on that corner as well. So those are sort of the main moves that we're doing with the building, and doing as much as we can to sort of maintain a heritage character to it. And so we'd love to hear any questions that you have, or feedback that you might have as well on these elevations.
Thanks very much, Danielle. That was a good presentation, and I appreciate you sharing the images with us.
Great, you're welcome.
Yvonne, did I see your hand up a minute ago?
Yeah. I took some time beforehand to look at the drawings, and it's very tastefully done and very, it's nicely balanced, and I just think you've done a wonderful job with a historic building, and modernized it, but still kept the heritage feel.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yvonne. Al?
Yeah, just a few comments. Again, I was echo with what Yvonne has said. I took note of the fact that you recognize the view from Peel Street, which is extremely important. When the Nehamburg Conservation Heritage District study was completed over 25 years ago, one of the main things that's noted about the Nehamburg Heritage Conservation District is the view as you're driving down Peel Street, opening up, and the thing that is just you're focusing on all the time is the mill property and the cupola on top of it. So that view shed is it's one of the things that makes the whole downtown area of Nehamburg special. So I'm really glad to hear that you're recognizing that and putting an emphasis on retaining that view shed. As I was mentioning, I think I may have mentioned before, but I'll mention again that this project, I have nothing to do with this project, so I have no conflict of interest. But personally, it's very close to me because my father was an employee at the mill for over 30 years, and as a youngster up until about 15, 16 years old, I was often over there with my dad when he would be tending the fire in the furnace and other things. So I spent a lot of time in there as a kid, and so it's a project that I'm looking forward to. I'm very happy to hear what I've heard so far. It's not often that we have a chance to take a heritage building like this, retain it, and repurpose it, especially for a purpose that is so sorely needed, not just in Nehamburg, but everywhere, is affordable housing. So I commend Link for purchasing the property and coming up with this idea. I think it's marvelous, and a lot of people are going to be watching the project. I hope to do a historical perspective on it. Myself is a bit of a writing that I'm working on. So again, so far so good. It looks very, very promising.
Great.
Thanks, Al. I also too spent some time looking at the drawings before tonight, and I appreciate the scale of the building. I think it's a nice size for the addition, and appreciate carrying through the pattern of the windows and the floor heights. So I think it's going to be a great addition to the downtown as well. I did have a question. What are you planning to do with the existing silo that's there? I saw it's still there. I just wondered if it stays.
That's still to be determined. We've looked at some options of using it as amenity space, actually, so creating a connection from within the building and adding floors into that silo. We haven't really gone too far down exploring that, however. Obviously, it presents some challenges with the windows on that side of the building, so the units there, looking out onto a silo is maybe not ideal. So that's still a bit up in the air. I'm not sure, we'd be happy to hear, Heritage Committee's thoughts on value of it and in either case.
It's a neat feature of the property too, and I appreciate that you've used the stairwell to kind of mimic that shape. Al?
And it is interesting, but the silo's not that old.
No, it's not that old.
Yeah, that's right.
And it does actually sit on the exit. That's where the mill race, the tail race came out. And basically, where that silo is where it came out. There was a small, wee little bridge that the water passed underneath, and then there was like an open ditch or creekway that ran down to the river, basically paralleling where Mill Street Extension takes you to the Sobeys Plaza. And then it entered to the river, and also at that spot was where the famous swinging bridge was over the river, that you used to be able to take a shortcut without having to walk around across the swinging bridge. And there was always water in that tail race. My father used to trap muskrats in there. Just for added trivia.
Thanks, Al. I did have one request. It'd be handy to have, I don't know if you're at the stage yet of having a site plan, but that would be useful to look at just in relation to the elevations. I anticipate we'll put some preliminary comments together on behalf of the committee. So if we had that available, that would help just in our review.
For sure. We can send that along too.
Awesome. Recognizing it's preliminary still and it may change, but yeah, that would be just useful to help orient around the site.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Marg, any thoughts you wanted to share? All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, thanks very much for your time tonight and for coming here. We will, as I said, I think it's appropriate if we put some preliminary comments together, and we'll forward those on to yourself and to township staff, and then go from there. Look forward to seeing the project continue to take shape.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Andrew, in terms of township process, where are things at? Was there a site plan application, or are they not quite there yet?
They are working towards that. It
Okay.
hasn't been filed yet. Yeah. So we have seen some preliminary work with respect to a site plan. So we can, either they can or we can share that with the committee. Didn't really feel it was necessarily pertinent to the immediate discussion. Was to look at the kind of the building, the facade, the treatments, and that sort of thing to get a preliminary comment from Heritage Wilmot. But
Okay.
if a site plan's of assistance, we can get that to you as well.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a good time then to get some preliminary thoughts together. And I'll just start a letter and then send it around. And we can go from there. Excellent. Anything else on the mill before we move on? All right. Next item under new business, we have Castle Kilbride exterior stair replacement. So we talked about this a little bit from the last meeting and understand that work would commence when the weather turned nice, which I think we can safely say we're at. So I just wondered if there's an update from staff on timing and progress. Sure.
So from your agenda package, you were circulated on the photos of the constructed stairs. They are expected to be installed around May 1st, and then after which they will be primed and painted as soon as possible.
Excellent. Yeah, the photos that you guys shared look really neat, so it'll be a good project.
They have done an outstanding job at recreating them piece by piece, bit by bit, and taking the most durable woods that they could. So hopefully this will take us into the next 30 years instead of the 5 to 10 year cycle that it was on with replacements. So we're quite excited to see this come to fruition.
Excellent. Any committee thoughts, comments? All right. Next item was the New Hamburg Library exterior repairs. And I understand a bit of an update from township staff from the last meeting. Andrew, did you want to share that with the committee?
Yep, sure. So I think there was some discussion about what was happening with the library this year. So we got clarity from our community services department. So this year is just exploratory engineering work. The actual structure holding up the pillars is cracked and potentially failing. So they're doing some engineering analysis on that to see what needs to be done to, properly secure those, and then some other exterior work, some brickwork that needed to be completed. So at this point, nothing's happening this year. It's simply the preliminary engineering work to see what needs to happen, and then planning for it in 2024 likely. So again, there's no plans to change the pillars or anything else like that at all. It's simply the structure underneath that they would be working at. But certainly they understand that depending on the outcome of that engineering, whatever needs to be completed would come back to this committee for review prior to completion.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Look forward to finding out how that goes. Yvonne?
I have a question too. My understanding is there is a ladder being installed at the back of the building up to the roof. And I know it's, the access is right near where the public washrooms are. And I don't want to call them little hooligans, but in the past, there have been incidents of vandalism to structures, and like the bicycle rack occasionally ended up in the river, so that's why it got tied down. And I'm just hoping that some thought has been given to this ladder not being really highly visible, because of once it's found, I'm sure it will be climbed onto the roof. And I just thought I would share that because we're talking about the library.
Thanks, Yvonne. Andrew, maybe if you could just pass that on to whoever looking at it, just to be mindful of that.
That was my comment. I'm not aware of that happening, but we'll certainly provide that comment to community services staff. I'm sure that they are taking that into account, but the additional background is helpful, and we'll provide that to them.
Thanks, Yvonne. So, Andrew, I guess in terms of future work for the library, then we'll wait and see next year what that might look like, and then that'll come to the committee for comment and information, I suppose. Yeah, so I think that would be once the engineering work is completed and they have a work plan for 2024, then we can get that information and provide that to the committee for review at that point. Okay. Excellent. Next item was the next Heritage Wilmot term, and applications are open for existing members to apply, and also for members of the public to submit applications if they're interested. I just wanted to note the township's moving to a combined Council Committee and Heritage Committee, so just given the overlap in the roles and purview, I suppose. So the deadline is early May, and I meant to check the date, but now I've forgotten. 2nd, I think? May 1st. May 1st, okay. Great. Unless there's anything else under there, I'll move on to business. And only item under there was Heritage Day. So we have our event next week. It's hard to believe it's here already. And I just put this item on there in case there's anything else our final organizing group needs in terms of support or wanted to discuss. So I'll just open it up.
We are excited for next week, but we just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that it's going to be hosted here Originally, it was going to be at the WRC in February, but the lecture will be hosted in here. The exhibitors will be downstairs in the Wilmot Community Room. And I just wanted to thank Yvonne for reaching out again to rebook our guest lecturers.
Excellent. Well, if there's anything last minute that comes up, let us know. Al?
I guess this is more a question for Carl upstairs. This is going to be on YouTube again, and you'll be able to see it afterwards? Good, because once again, I have conflict.
No, no.
Never fails.
Yes, the online version will be very useful. I have some people at our office interested too, and someone couldn't make it, so I said, oh, it'll be online. Excellent. If there's nothing else under there, we can move on to correspondence. I did not have anything listed, so if anyone has anything they wanted to mention, let us know. Or I suppose any info sharing as well. Seeing none, that wraps up for our agenda. Next meeting will be May 9th at 7 o'clock. And I believe that will be the last official meeting of our term, because after that will be the council report for the new committee. I'm getting nods, so perfect. All right, we'll see everybody then. Motion to adjourn? Yvonne. Second, Al. We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.